I call this January 24th, 2023 regular meeting of the Burlington Board of Health. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have approval of minutes for November 22nd. I'm going to check to see members present. We were all present, so if I can have a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve minutes of November 22nd?
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any omissions, corrections, anything you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
We are together 3 people as a quorum this evening, so we don't have to go through everybody individually. I'm Dr. Ed Weiner, and with me tonight are board members Gail DeMore and Andrea Sheehan. Our vice chair, David McSweeney, was called away on business, and our hearts go out to Mary Beth Welch, whose brother passed away unexpectedly, and she is out this evening. So our thoughts and prayers are with you, Mary Beth. Please note that we are live on, and we will be taped by BCAT and available for appropriate comments and questions through this video technology. And thank you for BCAT for what you do for this community, keeping us all aware and so well informed. In addition, this evening, I invited the Burlington Buzz, who had some questions about one of our discussion agenda items earlier in the week, and I thought I would invite them. Citizens' time. Is there anybody who's not on the agenda who would like to speak to the board this evening? I don't see anybody here.
We have one call-in user.
We have one call-in.
One call-in person. I'm not sure if they're here for citizens' time or not.
Can we turn them on to see if they have any questions?
Is that Nikki?
I do not.
Thank you so much. Which brings me to Chairman's report. And let me talk a little about that this evening.
So, sorry about that. I do not have any questions for the public session.
Would you like to identify yourself? Or you don't have to, but...
Sure. My name is Brad Pennington. I'm calling to join as an owner's representative for the 5 Burlington Woods discussion.
Your 3 colleagues are here, and you will see them really soon. Thank you so much. At tonight's meeting, we will discuss topics, policies, and programs that will impact both this board and the town of Burlington for years to come. Since those agenda items may involve quite a bit of discussion time, I'm going to put off my comments and, in part, my report until that time. I, however, as I always do, ask if any of my colleagues would like to make any comments this evening. If not, we can move on. We don't have any subcommittees this evening, and we have one application, and I see that they're here this evening. Do you want them up here? Or?
Whoever wants to come up.
And please, Mr. Vaughn, would you have everybody sign in? Sure. Can you just pull up a chair, please? Sure. Thank you. And please print your name. We know Mr. Vaughn. We don't know the other 2. And for our recording secretary. While I do that, I also want to introduce Susan Luminello this evening, who is our Director of Public Health, Mr. Michael Green, who is our Director of Public Health. Our environmental engineer is Christine Mathis, who I think you all know, and recording secretary extraordinaire is Eric Bergeron. Thank you, Eric, for being here. So, who is going to present this?
I can give a quick introduction.
Our environmental engineer,
and then Mr. Vaughn
Christine Mathis will present this to us.
there's a special permit and site plan application before you for 15 Burlington Wall Road, which is also known as 5 Burlington Woods Drive. They are proposing retrofitting an existing building to become a life science building for life science uses in labs. The modifications to the site plan are modest. They are installing a loading dock, some upgrades to stormwater, and a little bit of parking lot, and slight decrease in impervious surface. They'll be tying into the existing stormwater system that is in place at the facility. It's my understanding that that stormwater system is a series of deep sumps which connect to an underground infiltration unit that does not have a discharge or an overflow. With that, I will hand it over to Mr. Vaughn for additional comments.
I think that's a very good executive summary of what we're talking about here. I appreciate that, and thank you for all your time, Christine. So, for the record, Attorney Mark Vaughn, representing the applicant, Montana Avenue Capital Partners, the proud new owner of the property at 5 Burlington Woods Drive. I know Brad Pennington is joining remotely, and we have Mike Manship, the architect with Vivo Architects, that's been responsible for the retrofitting of the interior, along with Robin. I know I'm going to mispronounce your last name. Dorogusker, who's the owner's representative as well. So, but yeah, as Christine mentioned, it's a pretty straightforward application, Mr. Chairman and board members, in that it's a retrofit of the existing building. Building's been there. It's a building that I'm sure many of you drive by on a frequent basis, but it's right to the right of Burlington Marriott. It's a building that has parking below the 3 levels of floor area that are there. And it's about 105,000 square feet of floor area today. It's been there since the early 1980s. So they are looking to, we filed for the standard fare of special permits from the planning board that we would need for this particular reutilization of the building. And as Christine mentioned, the changes to the building are relatively modest in that we're talking about a loading dock that would be in the corner of the building, as well as filling in some of that parking area, which would allow for the appropriate control rooms and whatnot for the life science and lab tenants that are hopefully going to be utilizing the building. So it's only about an increase of 5,000 square feet of space in a 105,000 square foot building. So again, pretty modest. We are going to be providing some landscaping improvements to the site as well. There's a reduction in parking because I think, as the board may be aware, life science and lab tends to have less of a parking demand than traditional office. So I know that Mike Manship and his firm are very seasoned in the life science and lab arena. Vivo Architects do a tremendous amount of work with lab and life science users, so certainly understand. And we work together actually on the 3 Burlington Woods project, which was very similar to this in terms of repurposing that building with the parking underneath. So I think everything is in order in terms of what we're proposing. And want to thank Christine for taking the time. We met at a staff level a couple of weeks back, and then we had a DCM meeting this morning as well, and certainly do have a copy of your suggested proposed conditions to be sent to the planning board, and don't have any issue with those in terms of how they would apply here. So happy to give more of a discussion, or if you want to understand anything better, but the idea is that this would be a multi-tenanted building. So, and I know that we also provided to Christine kind of some security provisions that would be in place just to control access to the spaces and things of that nature. So,
Can I ask either of your colleagues, do you have any comments?
Nothing much more than what Mark already described. It is a very similar project to 3 Burlington Woods, which we were before this board for that project a year ago. So it's a very similar program. There is no loading facility right now, so we're going to add a small loading facility on the inside corner of the L. The building is an L-shaped building. We're going to,
Excuse me, could you pull the microphone a little closer to you? The television's got to pick it up. Thank you.
and then, the other building areas that we're going to add are underneath the existing footprint, so it's not additional footprint to provide the necessary pH rooms, control rooms, and various utility rooms for the life science use. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
Would you like to speak?
I don't have any comments, thank you.
No comments at all?
No.
How about your colleague online who is that yours, Tony?
Tony is, yes, he's with
Is it Eckler? I can't see it from here.
Ecker.
Mr. Ecker, do you have any comments, please?
I actually just joined and had trouble logging in.
Comments on the project?
No, I'm excited for it.
Okay.
And is there somebody else on also?
We have Brad Pennington, who's one of the principals of the ownership group as well.
Mr. Pennington, do you have any comments?
Nothing of substance. Thanks for your time and meeting with us.
Okay. I think you answered my first question. It's tenants. It's going to be multi-tenanted. Do you have any tenants that you know of now, or
At the moment, no.
you're just doing build-up?
Yeah, the current proposal is the first 2 floors will be done as speculative lab office space, and then the 3rd floor will be left as a shell until a tenant is identified.
Okay. You please will tell them that they have a number of other hurdles before they can come and occupy.
Sure.
Nothing that you haven't seen before.
Right.
Ms. Environmental Engineer, your recommendation?
I just want to point out, in the conditions that we forwarded to the applicant, the proposed conditions that you'll be voting on, one of the requirements is that when tenants are identified, they need to come before the board and get a biological safety permit, if applicable, and at some point prior to construction, when plans are more hashed out, the applicant needs to come back and provide additional details regarding the treatment and management of wastewater in the centralized pH system, the management of chemical and hazardous waste storage, and the outdoor storage of chemicals and on-site security measures.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Sheehan, do you have any questions, or?
No, I'm glad you brought those up as conditions, because those are some of the areas that I had concerns about.
Okay.
That's good.
Ms. Demore?
I'm the same.
You're same? Okay. So you advising us to, I'm sorry, do you?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment while we have the property owner on. Just a reminder that we recently changed our regulations, so it is now a requirement for property owners to notify the Board of Health 30 days prior to a tenant taking occupancy if they're going to require a biological safety permit from us. And we are going to be having at our next meeting a discussion of regulations on hazardous materials, storage and disposal, and it will require the same thing of property owners for hazardous materials. So if you have a tenant that has, if it passes, and you have a tenant that is storing hazardous materials, then you will need to notify us in writing 30 days prior to them taking occupancy.
It takes us a long time to go through those. They tend to be very, very voluminous, those applications, and 30 days, it's nothing different except it's a time period. We just ask to give us some time. We don't want to hold you up, and we don't want any surprises, and we don't want you to have any surprises, so we added 30 days.
I would also add that.
Thank you.
I would also add that the centralized pH system will have to file for hazardous materials above and beyond what the individual tenants file for. So that your tenants would be regulated for hazardous materials use and storage, as would whoever the owner or the owner's agent who will be managing the centralized pH system.
Okay. Okay, I need a motion, please,
I'll make the motion to approve with the considerations that Christine mentioned.
with the conditions.
Yes, conditions.
Do I have a motion by Ms. Sheehan to approve with the listed with the listed conditions, and you have seen the conditions?
We have,
No
yes.
problem with the conditions. And do I have a second? Second, Ms. Demore. Any other comments? Anybody else? Mr. Green, anything? Anybody? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for getting those people online. Thank you so much. Okay. Which brings us to discussion, and we have 3 discussion topics. The first is something that I have worked on for a long time. I've been hoping we could do it for a long time. I had some input from Ms. Demore, and it is community, public health, and scientific faculty that we would like to put together. Mr. Green, first Susan Luminello, our director, and then Mr. Green, our associate director, and I have worked on this. And I think we're at a point now where we're willing to identify people that we'd like to have on this faculty. I will note that I hope both of you sign up for the faculty. And we hope to have about 100 people. So if individuals have questions, individuals would like a speaker, if nonprofits would like an educator to come and speak to their group, then we have a list of people who have been queried and who've been vetted that we can offer to come out and speak. We're hoping that the scientific community, the elected community, and others within our community who have special backgrounds will also become part of this faculty that we can offer the public. It's an experiment. It's something that the corporate world does. The only difference is it's a volunteer faculty. We're not going to be paying them as the corporate areas where I was involved in for decades. But we think that we could add something to this community. It's a proposal that we've talked about in a long time, and we'd like to give it a try. Mr. Green, would you like to speak to that?
Absolutely. So thanks for giving us this opportunity and generating this idea, Dr. Ed. We did put together just a cover letter. We'll have to wait till we get the rest of the board together to sign it. And we do have an application that'll go out with it. So once we get those signatures, get it squared away, and then I think we're going to start sending it out to public health and scientific folks in the community, and hopefully we can get some quality trainers and some good speakers together for it.
Any comments? Yeah, I know you saw it.
I have seen it before, and we talked about it when we looked at drafting some of this. I just think it's such a great idea because we do have a plethora of expertise within our own community, and we could tap into them to help share knowledge on different topics when needed.
As a scientific educator, I hope again that you sign up for that. I think you could be very helpful to the community. And you, any questions?
No questions. I think it's a great idea as well.
We'll give it a shot. We'll see if it works. And so I would like a motion. Well, I'll ask our director. I would like a motion to create this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like a motion to create this. I want to make sure we have the name. We kicked around the name a couple of times. The Community Public Health and Scientific Faculty, CPHSF. Could I have a motion to go forward with this? What did you say?
I can motion to go forward with the idea of putting this together
Okay.
and starting it.
Sally, thank you. Second?
I'll second the motion.
Somebody's going to move, so just a second.
We'll take turns.
No, I just thought it was good. Gail was involved, so you should motion it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Susan, thank you.
If there's anybody watching tonight who wants to be a part of it, we're going to post the application on our website, so they'll be able to get it there.
Easy.
Thank you so much. The next is Board of Health meeting requirements. This is complicated. It's complicated because after meeting with our town clerk, I don't need to bring this forward. everything that I am proposing can be done by a chair. But I think that the board, at least at least 3 members of the board should approve this. And let me talk a little bit about it, because I put off, this is my chairman's report. Almost 3 years ago at a Board of Select Persons meeting, I stated in reference to the COVID pandemic, we'll get through this. I didn't realize it would take more than 1,000 days. We were mandated to and made many changes to ensure that all services were maintained, keeping our town government fully engaged to meet the needs of our community. Among these temporary changes were the utilization of new electronic advances that allowed for remote discussion, hearings, and meetings. This technology, as we have seen, is not perfect. It has minimally met our needs and has served its purpose. It is, and I think we all know this, labor-intensive, requires more than, if that's possible, maximal attention, because we're seeing it online, we're seeing it people here, we have by chair people, committee members, professional staff, viewers, and proponents. In addition, the technology does not allow for nonverbal communication, and we know how important nonverbal communication is. Display of exhibits is an easy discussion. It's not easy. Last, participants at times, due to the remote technology, can be difficult to hear and sometimes poorly understood. As all these necessary and mandated accommodations will end in March. So, as the Board of Health reviews, discusses, and deliberates on very technical issues, as we did tonight, many involving community safety, in the best interest of the town of Burlington, I'm proposing the following. Now, all hearings, regular, special, and subcommittee meetings, as technology permits, will be live and available for BCAT for viewing by all interested individuals. No change. We're still going to BCAT. Citizens' time will be available for appropriate in-person or remote participation, either or. However, temporarily limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. This was done by other boards. People can get on for 5 minutes, but it also keeps people from rambling on and on and on, as well as the possible problematic discussion. And we're just going to call 5 minutes. I mean, if things are getting really hot, we can ask for a motion to continue. All business requests, discussions, and hearings of the Board of Health will require individual in-person participation. And this is for proponents only. This is not Board of Health members. If you are away and you'd like to participate, Board of members will still be able to participate remotely. And I want to add that to our, just to make sure everyone understands. Number 3, the line, if you could possibly, Board of Health members will be able to participate remotely if appropriate.
Yeah, so as approved by the chairman.
As approved by the chair. Okay, as approved by the chairman. Mr. Bergeron, do you have that? Yep. And we'll change that here.
Yeah.
Okay. And limited remote public comments may be acknowledged by the chairman as of specific discussions, which means that if we have the owner of a big building and I ask him or you ask them a question, they can answer you. So this just means that people are going to have to come before us. If they have a minor issue, we'll get them in and out. They only have to appear once. But when it comes to biotech, we have had problems we could barely understand because of the technology, hear them because of technology. I think we need to be here. So I could just go ahead and do this. These changes will support the primary role of the Board of Health to ensure community public health, wellness, safety, and quality of life for the Burlington community. I would really like a motion to approve, because I don't want to do it myself, to approve these 4 these 4 policies, and it's really not much different than what we have talked about in the past, but I want to formalize it because we're going to have a group of people coming in the near future with biotechnology permits, and they really should be here so we can question them. So,
I have a question.
yes,
So, specific to 3, if something that's been reviewed by Christine or anybody else, are we still going to require those people to come in,
absolutely. They're making a request of the town of Burlington.
even if it's been approved by Christine?
Well, I don't approve it. I make recommendations for you,
Okay,
the board
okay,
to
okay.
approve.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm good with that.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry. Okay, good. I'm glad you asked the question. Good question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can a larger group, like tonight's group, can or one or more participate in person with others remote?
Yes, but they better, but as we have talked about it, they better have somebody who can answer the question appropriately. I'm not going to have somebody from Asia or Europe on the line
Okay.
who can barely hear, who can't hear, or we'll just continue it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think one other thing we said too, we were going to leave it to the chairman's discretion whether or not to decide whether to allow the remote people to participate. So as a chairman, you could decide if someone's remotely, if you want them to participate or not.
If we have a non-scientific person here and an issue of biotech comes up, I think they should wait. I think someone needs to be here that we can look at and say, because I can't tell if that person is who they say they are. We don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. We
And
don't.
sometimes less technical people need more explanation.
Correct.
Just myself. You know what I mean?
I need more information too, and I just think if these biotech companies who are BSL2 or 2+, or even 3 come to us, these are very, very major companies, maybe some of them billion-dollar companies. They can come here and tell us that they are safe and they are appropriate, and people can watch that and understand that. And I think we owe that to the community. That's the way I feel. So I don't think it's anything we haven't talked about before. I just think that people should know in town meeting tomorrow, not tomorrow night, Monday night, need to know that that we are doing our due diligence. So I would like a motion to, and I think we are not meeting February 14th. I think we need to put this in to vote on this evening. Could I have a motion to approve with the changes given to the recording secretary?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's go on next. Environmental engineers staff report.
No, budget.
Budget,
The budget.
which will,
If you want to
Really
just
have to do this tonight?
if you want to skip the
it's going
budget.
to be really quick because it's all, so if you look at the actual budget spreadsheet, so what's included is a 2-page cover sheet, which is a summary sheet that's required, and then the budget spreadsheet on the individual budget. So everything is level funded. The only thing that has gone up is salaries, and that's because of contractual obligations. So fiscal year '24 budget is the same, other than salaries, as the fiscal year '23 budget. So really no changes at all. If you look at the one thing I wanted to point out, the budget cover sheet, the staff is really busy looking for grant opportunities. So this year, other than the $300,000 grant from DPH, we received almost another $100,000 in other grant opportunities. So, and some of those grants are going to continue from fiscal year '23 into fiscal year '24, so that's good.
Great.
Yeah.
Do we know who the subcommittee is yet?
We don't, but the meeting before Ways and Means is March 15th.
Okay, so it has to be
And the
before that.
subcommittee will be before that, but I haven't been contacted by them yet.
I'm just going to throw this out there tonight, and you don't, if you want to tell me, if not, we can wait till, well, we can't wait till next meeting, but I guess if anyone would like to be on the Budget Committee with me, and that is to attend the subcommittee, usually late in the afternoon.
Yeah, usually, well, sometimes during the day, depending on
But also, I'm going to ask that every board member who can attend the Ways and Means meeting. It's always nice to have some backup there.
That's March 15th at 7.
March 15th at 7. And that is a what day, March 15th?
I believe it's a Wednesday.
Beware the Ides of March. That's March 15th.
What's the meeting called again, Susan? Ways and Means, I'm
Ways
sorry.
and Means, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
I don't expect we'll have any problem at town meeting because everything's level funded, but you never know. So we will talk about when that'll come up in May, but March 15th is very important. So if you can join me, or would like to be a member of the subcommittee, it would be nice. If you have some time during the day and then time to go to that meeting. So I'll just leave it at that. So we're looking for a motion to approve the 2024 budget. Well, it always gets me. We just started 2023, and we're approving the 2024 budget. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the
By Mr. Moore.
2024 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're all set. Does that mean I have to sign it later?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, environmental engineers report. Ms. Mathis.
Any questions on my report? One highlight is that Mike and I are working on the biological safety permit renewals. They're due in a week's time, and then we have the month of February to complete the renewal and issue the permits for the existing biological safety permits.
Well, I want to thank you for working on the new hazardous material regulation.
Sure.
Also, I need to congratulate you on the receiving the other grant.
Yep. Thank you.
Which will ultimately allow us to get better insight on Cambridge Street.
Yeah, so it was 179 Cambridge Street and 18 Terry Ave, and the area in that vicinity impacts to groundwater, indoor air quality, and soil.
Right.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to be giving you a summary of that TAG grant at the next meeting, February
Oh, good. You'll have that.
February 28th meeting, yep.
Thank you.
Yep,
That'll really help out, give us an idea what
Yeah.
we're doing.
I'm excited for it.
Anything else? Any other questions? I don't have any.
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the environmental engineers report?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Associate Director of Public Health. Would you like to?
I would. I'd like to actually expound upon what Christine said with the biosafety permit renewals that are coming in. We are finding some are coming in with new protocols. So we will be presenting you with Protogene. We'll be having 2 new protocols coming on board. One is very similar to the existing approved protocol they have, where they're analyzing genes. The new one, they're taking a different approach and actually analyzing the proteins, kind of downstream, and then a Botox protocol that they want to bring forward. So we're going through that process, and so far, so good. And we have stopped our viral hemorrhagic fever monitoring. Mass DPH came down from the CDC that it had been over 42 days since the last case in Uganda, which is 2 times the the incubation period, so that's when they decided to discontinue active monitoring.
Thank you. Any questions? I have two. First, thank you. You worked a lot, pretty hard on the faculty documents. Thank you so much for doing that. And now your work's just begun. We need to identify faculty members. And second, do we have an update on the health fair? Do we have a specific date that's in?
We're aiming for May 20th, outdoor on the Common, but that is currently being evaluated because we actually have to go to select board to secure that date. Last year, that had been accomplished a lot earlier, so we're looking at other options, possibly at the high school or Memorial School.
Okay. Do we think it was going to be a problem on the Common?
Well, we may go with the indoors because last year there was issues with the tables and chairs, and it made it difficult for us plugging the tables and chairs to get set up. Whereas if you have it indoors, the custodians in schools set up the tables and chairs. So it's a lot more difficult, a lot more, work. Not that we don't want to do the work, but we just don't have the people available to do that. Yeah, that type of thing. But and another thing is too, is we're not sure the time frame for the approval from the selectmen, because you need approval from the selectmen to use the Common, and if that day is even available. So if we want to do it outside, we may need to look at, looking way earlier in the year to get the approval from the selectmen. And also too, I don't, with the rain date and,
We'll be
everything
short-staffed.
else, we did it because of COVID. So, we're kind of going back and forth, although it was nice outside, I don't know if it's necessary this year to do it again that way or go back to how we did it before, which was also very successful. We're looking at different things right now to try to make that decision as what would be the best way to go.
I think we should stay away from Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something we need to stay away from, Memorial Day weekend. And it was so big last year. It was wonderful. I know there are pros and cons. We'll leave it here.
Yeah. I mean, if it ever rained, that's the thing too. We could lose half our volunteers that would show up to help us, that are available on Saturday, who might not be on Sunday. So logistically, it's a little bit more difficult.
Any other questions? No. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the Associate Director of Public Health?
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Now, the Director of Public Health, that includes the health agent, the Associate Health Inspector, and we'll have some questions about the public health nurse. Questions first. Let's do health agent. Are there any questions about the health agent's report?
I didn't have any.
Are we having a swimming pool seminar series again?
Yes, and this year Samantha's going to be doing it, Marlene. So Marlene is going to attend. So Samantha is currently working on that, and she will be doing it this year.
And also, we hired a tobacco compliance person?
Yeah, under the shared services grant.
Is that under, that's exactly where I was going to go. Is that under the shared services?
Yes.
And that person will handle 3 towns?
Well, right now, the other 2 towns are part of another grant that covers tobacco compliance. So for this fiscal year, it'll just be Burlington, and then next fiscal year, it'll be the other 3 towns.
Good, thank you. Any other questions for the health agents? Okay.
One other thing on the health agent, Marlene did get another grant for continue with the retail standards as well, another $5,000.
Okay, good. That's wonderful. Anything with the Associate Health Inspector? I had nothing. Anything? Okay. Which brings me to the director.
One other thing about just on the Associate Health Inspector, the regulations for the housing code will be changing. So Samantha has been looking at that, looking at the application for that. And both Samantha, Mike, and I are going to be attending training on the new regulations. So that's coming up soon. I think that's in April.
Where is that?
Changes to those. There are different places, but the nice thing is the trainings are now being held under the shared services kind of umbrella. So I think I mentioned before they were doing these training hubs. So the cost of that training is covered by, not from our grant, it doesn't come out of our grant, but it comes from the money under shared services for training for these training hubs. So
Is that a multi-day program? That will be multi-day?
one day, one full day, yep.
Okay, brings me to director.
I just was going to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I was probably kind of slow. I was just trying to digest it. So what is it actually going to mean to, the people in town, this change or the housing code?
There's not like really significant changes, but the housing code affects people who are tenants mostly. So if
Okay.
you're a tenant and you're, you're renting from someone and you have, issues that need to be fixed, and your landlord isn't fixing them, you can call the Board of Health, and we come out and we do an inspection, and if it's covered under the regulations, then we write an order letter to the landlord to have it fixed.
Okay.
So there are some,
It's stuff like that, though.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how it would affect residents.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
That's a good question, because I didn't think of that, yeah.
Director, you have anything special before we ask questions?
Go ahead. Well, let's see. So, been working on, of course, the regulations and the fee changes, and under the grant, I just did a quarterly report. So we're actually in finished quarter 2. Now we're in quarter 3. So we have 2 more quarters left in this fiscal year. So we just did a report to DPH on that. I think that's it.
We interviewed a nursing candidate, and the subcommittee asked that we get references. So we are at that point now. You haven't heard anything back?
We also have received some applications for the part-time administrative assistant. So myself and Mike and Sarah are going to be hopefully doing interviews for that position soon.
Great. February 15th will be the press conference announcement meeting for the grant?
Yeah, so we're calling it a meet and greet. You should be getting the invitation by tomorrow, because Katie's in tomorrow. She'll be sending them out if you haven't gotten it yet already. But it'll definitely be going out tomorrow. That's February 15th at 3 o'clock. We're going to invite our board, the Board of Selectmen, town administrations from each of the towns. And I also invited Mike Hugo from the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards to do a presentation, just a short presentation on the grant for the town administrators or selectmen who don't understand, what it's all about. And then also talk a little bit about the intermunicipality agreement. So one of the requirements is that all towns sign this agreement. It was, MAHB had given us a template, so I looked at the template, made some changes to it, and now I sent it to town council to look at. So town council is now reviewing that agreement. Once that gets reviewed, and it needs to be signed by the chairman of the Board of Health and the town administrator from each town. And so we'll need to get signatures for that, and I'll come to agreement on that. So I'm hoping that after the kickoff meeting, we can get that agreement signed, because that needs to be done sooner rather than later.
You will be inviting BCAT and the Buzz, please?
Yeah.
Okay. I will be inviting the networks. I already spoken to Channel 7, so we'll see how that goes. And the Globe. and Harold. I'll send that out to them. This is a big deal.
It is a big
It
deal.
really is a big deal, because this is happening all over the state, and we haven't seen much of it. And I know when I speak to the networks, they're looking for this type of story to show what's going on in the Commonwealth, especially under a new governor.
Yeah, and I think COVID-19 has shown us the importance of, investing in our public health infrastructure and what they do.
Good, absolutely. It's really good.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, can I have a motion to approve the Director of Public Health report?
Motion to approve.
Motion?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, that brings us to the end. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for coming on, and be well.